Something is being shared in immigrant communities right now that is not accurate. You may have seen it in a WhatsApp group. You may have heard it from a coworker or a neighbor during this filing season. It says this, that once you file your taxes and pay what you owe, the IRS closes your case and moves on. That filing on time, even late, protects you from further review. That as long as you did not cheat, there is nothing to worry about. Here is the problem. If you are a non-citizen, a green card holder, an H-1B worker, an F-1 graduate on OPT, or a DACA recipient, there is one specific mistake that thousands of people make every May right after the April deadline passes. That does not just trigger an IRS review. It sends a flag to a second federal agency, an agency that has nothing to do with taxes. We went through the actual IRS and USCIS documentation on this. What the law actually says is different from what is being shared in community groups. And the difference matters enormously for your immigration status. There is also one connection between your tax filing record and your green card renewal timeline that almost nobody covers. We will get to that before this video ends. Immigration attorneys bill $375 an hour to advise immigrants on exactly this overlap. You are getting that same information right now. I am David, and I spent time going through the official IRS documentation and the USCIS policy manual on this specific filing season issue. Everything here comes directly from irs.gov and uscis.gov, not tax forums, not community advice groups. Before we go through this completely, the IRS does not send personal explanations when a cross-agency reporting rule changes. They update the code, they post a notice in the Federal Register, and they expect you to find it. Subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell so this reaches you before it affects your filing status or your immigration case. And join our WhatsApp community linked in the description. We send confirmed updates the moment they are verified. No rumors, no guesses. One message in the right family group tonight could protect someone's immigration status before their next renewal. Now, let me show you exactly what we found. Here is what is confirmed under current IRS and federal immigration law. Filing a federal tax return, even a late one, is not by itself grounds for an IRS audit or a USCIS immigration review. Under IRS Publication 17 and USCIS Policy Manual Volume 12, Part F, voluntary tax compliance is viewed favorably in the context of good moral character determinations. Immigrants who have filed taxes consistently and paid what they owe are in a stronger position during green card renewals and naturalization applications than those who have not filed at all. Here is what is circulating in community groups and on social media right now that is not accurate. That filing taxes using an ITIN, an individual taxpayer identification number, instead of a social security number automatically triggers a DHS review of your immigration status. That is false as stated. But here is the part that matters, and the part most people do not know. The mistake that actually triggers a cross-agency flag is not using an ITIN. It is a specific mismatch between the income reported on your tax return and the work authorization status on file with USCIS. That mismatch, not the ITIN itself, is what creates a problem. And it happens more often in May than any other month. We are going to show you exactly why and exactly how to avoid it. Under IRS USCIS data sharing protocols established under the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, federal agencies share certain taxpayer information when there is an indication of employment that conflicts with authorized work status. This is not routine. It is triggered. And the trigger is a specific condition. When income is reported under a Social Security number that is listed in the SSA database as not authorized for employment, and that income appears to have come from a U.S. employer who issued a W-2. In plain terms, if you worked for a U.S. employer who issued you a W-2 and the SSN or work authorization status on file with USCIS does not match the employment record, that combination creates a reportable discrepancy. This applies to workers who changed visa status during the year and did not update their work authorization record. It applies to H-1B holders whose status changed employers, but whose SSA record was not updated by the new employer's HR department. It applies to F-1 OPT graduates whose OPT end date passed before their H-1B cap gap protection was confirmed in writing. Say exactly this to your employer's HR department if you changed visa status at any point during the last tax year. I need to confirm that my current work authorization document on file with you matches my current status. Can you send me a copy of what you have on record? Nothing more. That one request starts the verification process before any flag is created. Never say to an HR department or a tax preparer, just file it the same way as last year. Under IRS matching procedures, a repeat filing that carries a status discrepancy from the prior year is weighted more heavily in automated review than a first-time discrepancy. Saying same as last year when your status changed is not just inaccurate, it compounds the original mismatch. This issue applies to H-1B holders, F-1 OPT workers, L-1 visa holders, and certain TN visa holders from Canada and Mexico. It does not apply to undocumented individuals filing with an ITIN and no W-2 employer record. Their filing situation is governed by different rules entirely, which we cover in a separate video. Immigration attorneys charge $300 to $400 per consultation to review exactly this kind of filing to status alignment before submission. This video is walking you through the same review, but the second point is where most people in immigrant communities have been given completely wrong guidance, and it happens at the tax preparer's office. The second point involves what happens when an immigrant uses a tax preparer who does not understand non-citizen filing rules. Under IRS Publication 519, the official U.S. tax guide for aliens, non-citizens are classified as either resident aliens or non-resident aliens for tax purposes. This classification is entirely separate from immigration status. A green card holder is always a resident alien for tax purposes, but an H-1B holder may be a resident alien or a non-resident alien depending on the substantial presence test, a calculation based on the number of days spent in the United States over a 3-year period. The mistake that triggers IRS review is filing under the wrong residency category. A non-resident alien who files as a resident alien, or the reverse, reports income on the wrong form, claims deductions they are not entitled to, and omits income they were required to report. When the IRS automated matching system compares the filed return against employer records and treaty filings, the discrepancy is flagged. Consider a worker on an H-1B visa who entered the United States in September of the prior year. Their tax preparer, a general practitioner without specific non-citizen training, filed their return as a full-year resident alien. Under the substantial presence test, calculated correctly, this person was a non-resident alien for that tax year and should have filed Form 1040-NR, not Form 1040. The incorrect filing triggered an IRS correspondence audit 18 months later. Correcting an already filed return required an amended return, a written explanation, and in this case, a referral to a CPA experienced with non-citizen filings. The correct step would have been to verify tax residency status, using the IRS Substantial Presence Test Calculator before choosing a form. Third, and this connects directly to the hidden element I mentioned at the beginning. The third point is the May-specific risk that makes this filing season different from any other month. May is the first full month after the April 15th tax deadline. It is also the month when IRS automated matching systems begin processing the prior year's employer W-2 records against filed returns. For non-citizens who filed at the deadline or just after, the window between the filing and the automated match is narrow. If there is a status discrepancy in the filed return, the flag is generated during this processing window, before the filer has any opportunity to correct it voluntarily. Voluntary correction, filing an amended return before the IRS contacts you, carries significantly less risk than waiting for IRS correspondence. Under IRS policy, a voluntary amended return filed without prior IRS contact is treated as good faith correction. A correction filed after IRS contact is treated as a response to examination, which carries a different procedural weight. If you filed in April and you are not certain your filing correctly reflected your visa or work authorization status, right now, in May, before IRS matching completes, is the time to review it with a qualified tax professional who understands non-citizen rules. And fourth, this is the specific detail that most coverage never reaches. Under IRS rules, an immigrant who receives income from both U.S. sources and foreign sources in the same tax year must report both on the correct form based on their tax residency classification. A common mistake is reporting only U.S.-sourced income when foreign-sourced income, rental income from a property abroad, a pension from a prior employer in another country, or a bank account in the home country generating interest also exists. When a green card holder or resident alien for tax purposes omits foreign-sourced income, the IRS Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act reporting system, FATCA, may flag the omission independently, creating a second review separate from the original filing. That second flag is the one that most families never anticipate. Now here is the connection that almost no coverage reaches. And this is what I mentioned at the beginning. Your IRS filing record does not just affect your taxes. It connects directly to your green card renewal and naturalization application, because USCIS uses tax filing history as one of the primary indicators of good moral character. Here is the mechanism in plain terms. Under USCIS Policy Manual Volume 12, Part F, Chapter 5, a consistent record of filing required tax returns is considered evidence of good moral character. An applicant who has unfiled returns, who has been contacted by the IRS for a discrepancy, or who has an open IRS balance without a payment plan in place may receive a request for evidence during their green card renewal or naturalization review asking for tax transcripts. In real terms for someone in your situation, an IRS correspondence audit triggered by a May filing mismatch, even if eventually resolved, creates a documented record of IRS contact that USCIS can see when you apply. If that audit is still open at the time of your renewal, it can delay the renewal by months while USCIS waits for resolution confirmation. Filing correctly in May and correcting any error before IRS contact is not just about taxes. It protects your immigration timeline at the same time. Most people never find out about this connection until the renewal is already delayed. Here is your exact plan. Write this down or save this video. Step 1. Go to irs.gov and search Substantial Presence Test. Run the calculation for yourself or your family member using the actual days present in the U.S. for the last 3 years. Confirm whether your correct tax form was Form 1040 or Form 1040 NR before the April filing was made. Step 2. Contact your employer's HR department and request a copy of the work authorization document they have on file for you. Verify that it matches your current visa status exactly. Name, status category, and authorization end date. Step 3. If you discover a mismatch between your filed return and your correct tax residency category, contact a CPA or enrolled agent with specific non-citizen tax experience. Say exactly this: I need to determine whether I need to file an amended 1040X before IRS automated matching begins. Do not add anything else until they advise you. Step 4. Never ignore an IRS letter that arrives by mail. Under IRS correspondence audit rules, failure to respond within the stated deadline, typically 30 days, converts the inquiry into an automatic assessment. That assessment becomes a balance due, which USCIS can see. Step 5. Share this video with one person in your community who filed taxes this season and is on any type of work visa. Send it directly to their phone right now. They may not find this before the IRS matching window closes. Official resources: IRS for non-citizens, IRS Gov, individuals, international taxpayers. IRS publication, 519, IRS Gov, Pub, IRS PDF, P519 PDF, USCIS. Good moral character. USCIS Gov, Policy Manual Immigration. Legal Aid, immigrationadvocates.org, Free Tax Help, VITA, IRS Gov, VITA SSA, SA Gov, 1-800-772-1213. 2 warnings before we finish. First, immigration tax scams. There are people in immigrant communities charging fees to fix tax filings for non-citizens using methods that are not authorized by the IRS. They are not enrolled agents. They are not CPAs. They are not authorized to represent you before the IRS. If a tax preparer guarantees a refund before reviewing your documents or charges a percentage of your refund as their fee, find a different preparer immediately. Free tax help for eligible filers is available through the IRS VITA program at irs.gov/VITA. Second, benefit scams. If you receive a phone call claiming that your Social Security number has been suspended because of a tax filing error, hang up immediately. The IRS does not suspend Social Security numbers. The SSA does not call to warn you of suspension. Real IRS and SSA communication comes by mail only. Call 1-800-772-1213 to verify anything from SSA directly. I want to hear from you directly. Which country are you originally from? And have you or someone you know ever received an IRS letter after filing and not known what to do next? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and your questions shape the next video. What we covered today is documented, confirmed, and already affecting immigrant filers across this country right now. The IRS will not send you a personal explanation when a cross-agency reporting rule changes. This channel will. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the WhatsApp community in the description so urgent updates reach you directly. I am David. You have rights in this country. You have benefits you have earned. Knowing both protects everything. Take care of yourself.